Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm James Milan, and I'm talking to our town manager, Adam Chapdelaine, as I do each and every week. Adam, always a pleasure.
Glad to be here. Thank you,
Um,
James.
let's start where we always start, please, and that is with a COVID-19 update. Perhaps you want to just reiterate safety protocols as we do continue to. Well, it's October now, so we're edging ever closer to the winter and the inside months. And we've got a couple of things to talk about in relation to COVID about that, I think.
So, I think the first thing I would say is, we're still relatively stable, but our numbers have ticked up since the last time you and I spoke. We've had, more than just a handful of cases come on to the books. So I think, I've been saying, and I certainly don't want to be the one who predicts bad news, but I've been saying that we're entering a precarious time, and I'm not saying that we've, fully entered that time yet, but or that the precariousness has played out, but we are seeing a slight uptick. And I think, one of the number one things we've been talking about as a leadership team with the town staff is we really need to hammer home the need to keep your mask on. If you're going to be out in public, if you're going to be interacting with people, please wear that mask. We're seeing an uptick in complaints about mask noncompliance. And, I think I've talked about this a number of times, I think, with you and with Jeff while he was still here. Man, no one really likes wearing the mask, right? I don't think anybody is putting that thing on and saying, oh God, I can't wait to get the mask on and head out. But, if you care about yourself, you care about your family, and you care about other people, it's the right thing to do. The science is continually showing that it reduces the risk of transmission. And even if it is transmitted, reduces the severity of the illness based on how many particles or, I don't know what the right technological or scientific term is, but the amount of virus that you're actually exposed to if you are exposed to it. So, as these months go on, as we're going to be likely inside with people a little more often as it gets colder, please get that mask on, wear it. Again, do your part to wear the mask.
Yeah, one thing to note is certainly as more information gets known and disseminated about this virus, it does seem like masks are always part of the solution to whatever new things we're finding out. So I also understand, of course, that people have a real inclination at this point to be outside as much as possible, as we all feel kind of the fact that the time is trickling or that opportunity is trickling away. And of course, we all want to get our last barbecues in, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that our fire chief and fire department have just reiterated some important protocols. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, so we've recently sent out a notice reminding residents about the town's open burn protocols or policy. It's not a town level decision. We're actually on a list with, I think the number's about 15 or 20 other communities in the Commonwealth that based on their density and the layout of the community, that open burning is prohibited all year. So as people are getting outside, we're getting more complaints about open burning, and it's understandable, right? The temperatures are dipping down in the evening hours. People want to stay outside a little bit longer, but we can't, fireplaces, chimeneas, fire pits are not allowed in Arlington. And, because people are smelling the smoke that their neighbors may be producing in their neighboring yard. And the smell bothers some people. And I think the smoke very legitimately bothers people who have any type of respiratory challenge or illness or ailment. And you tie that in with concerns we have around COVID, and it kind of creates a cocktail of concern for people. So we want to remind people that open burn is not allowed. However, there are outdoor heating devices that are allowed. So, the fire pits that are gassed or, fueled by propane or other propane fueled devices are allowed outside. You want to make sure you do it in a safe manner. And I think the fire department would be happy to give advice about that. But we want people to be outside. We want them to be able to do it safely and happily, but a reminder to not be open burning outside.
Another topic we've been talking a lot about lately, and we'll touch on it at least one more time here today, and that is the fact that we are just right now, October is just opening, and as promised and as planned, as I understand it, the Black Lives Matter banner that was hanging from Town Hall for a number of months has been removed. And that did elicit a public response. A rally was held at Town Hall Plaza just earlier this week in response and frankly in disapproval of that. Your comments?
So I'll just give a brief history. As I think a lot of folks know, the select board voted to put the banner up at the request of the Human Rights Commission and adopt a resolution which called for the banner to be put up back in the summer. When they adopted that resolution, the resolution actually called for it to be up for a finite amount of time through a date in July. At that point, it was considered to be taken down, but the board decided based on public feedback to keep it up for a longer period and asked me to come back in September with a recommendation for what to do. So I came back at the 2 board meetings ago and recommended that the board take it down at the end of September, and then we could put together the right group of people to determine when the right time going forward is to exhibit it on town hall or on other town properties or in some way in town. One of the board members proposed that we do take it down on September 30th, but that we highlight the town's commitment to non-discrimination and post in a very conspicuous way at the entryways to town hall an excerpt from the town's non-discrimination bylaw. So we have had signs made up to do that. There's going to be construction starting on Town Hall Plaza, which I think we talked about, and construction fencing going up, and we're going to put the signs up on that fence as well as at the entrances to the annex behind the back of the building. So I think the board, I know the board is committed to doing work, continuing work around race, equity, justice. We're going to talk more about that actually at Monday night's meeting, the road ahead and the work that we're planning or proposing to do. But going forward, and I think going forward, the board is going to have to think about the feedback of residents about the banner coming down and working together to figure out what the right path forward is about, whether it be a sign on town hall or other town buildings or wherever placing that value statement is eventually deemed appropriate. I think there's discussions at the board level yet to come.
Shop Arlington First is a new program. I just recently spoke to both our economic development coordinator, Ali Carter, and Beth Locke from the Chamber of Commerce about that rollout. But I know that it's particularly important right now as an idea, as an aspiration, as a mission, really, for all of us in town to support our local businesses. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your take on that program?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that Ali and Beth and the Chamber folks are working on this. I keep using these terms like a precarious time, but I think we're entering a time where it's going to continually be difficult for our local businesses. And it's not an Arlington specific problem. I think it's happening probably across the globe, not even just the country, where small businesses are being more impacted by this pandemic than our large businesses. But focusing locally, we really have to urge people, if at all possible, to shop Arlington First. If you can get your takeout in Arlington, please do that. If you're comfortable going to dine out in Arlington, please do that. If you're buying holiday gifts, Christmas gifts, whatever they might be, birthday gifts, if you can buy that in Arlington, we really want to encourage people to do that. I know all the businesses are doing the best they can to provide their services or their goods in as safe a manner as possible, whether it be ordering online or picking up outside the front of the store, or some are comfortable having people come in. We really got to do our best as a community to support Arlington businesses. I mean, we should be doing that all the time, but now more than ever is a time to really shop Arlington First.
Yeah, and as we are heading into colder weather, I just want to add that in my conversations with Ali and Beth, I was surprised and delighted, frankly, to hear their strong endorsement for the safety measures that a lot of our local businesses have taken for you to be able to come inside.
Yes.
And,
yes.
If that's what is necessary, either for the goods or services that they provide, or as the weather gets colder, people can feel really confident about that. That
Yes.
I think is really good news.
I agree.
Speaking of good news, we do get to touch on that on occasion in these conversations, right? And in the last couple of weeks, we've gotten to celebrate both awards and grants, et cetera. So we've got another one to talk about, which is, it's got an intriguing name, but in fact, it's got a very serious cause. Why don't you tell us about the $180,000+ that Arlington is the lead community for with a project related to the Mystic River?
So this is an MVP grant, a Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant. I think the name of the grant is Wicked Hot Mystic, if I was using the
There you
local
go.
accent.
There you
I
go.
still
Well
have it. I
done.
might hide it, but I still have it. So it's called Wicked Hot Mystic, and it's dedicated to finding ways to deal with extreme heat in the Mystic River watershed. So as you said, Arlington's the lead community. We'll be working with the Mystic River Watershed Association and other communities within the Mystic River watershed to try to identify both areas of extreme heat as well as mitigation measures that can be put towards extreme heat within the watershed. So I think it's a great project. It really speaks to one of the major impacts of climate change that we see locally in Arlington. Flooding is certainly one, but extreme heat is another one where we see patterns of heat island effect in Arlington. So this will help Arlington and help the region. And I'm proud that Arlington is the lead on it. It's really tied to the great work of our planning department. Emily Sullivan, our environmental planner, does incredible work and working with the Conservation Commission, with the Mystic River Watershed Association and volunteers. She's really done a great job leading our efforts in this regard. And it ties into our comprehensive planning efforts around both climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. Arlington has been and continues to be a leader on these fronts, from the Sustainable Arlington to the Energy Working Group to the Clean Energy Future Committee that's currently finalizing our net zero by 2050 plan. Arlington is really, again, a leader regionally and across the state in these efforts. And this is just another great example of our leadership in that regard.
Well, one more project to talk about, and that is, and to celebrate again, and also in the way that it is a collaboration between us and Arlington as a community, both within the community and beyond, and that is the renovated playground, which is due to or is reopening at the Thompson School, and has an interesting background to it, which I think you're going to share with us.
Yeah, so we're really happy this project has come to completion and is going to be open to the public. So this is at the North Union Field, Luciano Park, right next to the Thompson School. There's been a playground there for a long time, but in recent years had fallen into disrepair. And members of the community who live down in East Arlington came to the Parks and Recreation Commission a number of years ago and said, please prioritize getting this project done. And for no bad reason, it was not at the top of the priority list. The Parks and Rec Commission has a very detailed prioritization list for investment in our parks, playgrounds, and recreational assets. But this one was certainly in need, but not yet at the top of the list. So being very responsive, the Parks and Rec Commission started working with our state delegation and Representative Sean Garbely, who was able to earn 2 earmarks for funding this. The Community Preservation Act Committee provided funding for this project, as well as the Community Development Block Grant monies that come through the town. So this is a community-generated project in terms of its interest that is using federal money, CDBG, state money via the earmarks, and local money via the CPA to make it happen. And I think it's not only a great asset for the community and for that section of town, but it's a great example of a responsive local government working with its partners in government at the state and federal level to make a project happen.
And, that's a great story unto itself, but we also now, from East Arlington all the way through, we are all going to get to enjoy a newly renovated and super fun playground, at least for a little while longer, before the snow chases us away. All right. Speaking of chasing away, I will let you go. And thank you very much again for this update for the week. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, James.
All right. Thanks. I've been talking to our town manager, Adam Chapdelaine, with our weekly update with the town manager. Thanks for joining us. I'm James Milan. We'll see you later.